Now I have it pretty well smoothed out, but before I move any further, I'm going to scrape that off there before it gets dried on there and gets too hard, because I can still use this clay. So I'm actually going to mix it up with my other clay that I have sitting there. So it's pretty smooth. You can take your fingers and just kind of smooth out any extra spots. Any cracking that you have right now will only get worse if you don't take care of it now. So I'm going to smooth it out. Before you move on now, you need to decide how it's going to sit. And most of you drew a picture. So if it sits like this, you should take your needle tool and write your name on the inside. If it sits like this, you should decide which is your top and which is your bottom and carve your initials into it right now, like that. So I'm going to have mine sit like this, actually, on its side like that. And I'm going to use this extra clay. And you can make eyes for it. But I can't just stick them on. We talked about when we slip and score pieces on, we don't want them to just hook together like this, because as they dry, they'll pull apart. We want to score them so they lock together. And so you can either score with your needle tool, which works good on small parts, but because this is a little bit bigger, we're going to score with a fork. And so you're going to score both parts, and you're basically roughing up both parts so they join. And then in your tools, you should also have a couple paint brushes that we use for slip. And the slip is just really wet clay. And you're just going to paint just a little bit on both parts, just a little bit. We don't use slip for repairing or anything right now. We're just using it to attach. And so I've scored it, I've slipped it, and I'm going to smush this on there and kind of wiggle it back and forth. And while that looks okay, the other thing that I like to do is I like to take these modeling tools, whether they're wooden or plastic, and really make sure that it gets smoothed on there and joined on there tightly. That way it won't come off. So I'm going to do that all the way around, and then I'm also going to run my fingers around it to make sure that I didn't leave any score marks that show up. So if I did eyeballs like that, and I slipped and scored all of them on, he still kind of looks a little dead in the eyes, meaning he kind of has that look on his face. It makes him come alive if you take the needle tool and you do this to it.